fucking siblings. You know what I'm saying? I love my siblings. Obviously, all brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want you to think that I'm out here like ranting like about how much I hate my brothers. I thought it's fucking sibling shit. It's like if you got a brother or sister, you know exactly what the feeling I'm trying to describe. But I do want to say that me as an air sign, like I'm an Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? I got a brother that's a Scorpio. I got a brother that's a Pisces. And I got a sister that's a Cancer. You know what I'm saying? And I also have a stepbrother who's Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? Which was fucking perfect for exactly what I need to see as far as like lower Aquarius traits. You know what I'm saying? No, imagine me having, you know what I'm saying, 3 water sign siblings and then a lower evolved Aquarius brother. And then none of them not even studying astrology at all. These motherfuckers don't, they think I'm crazy for studying astrology. You see what I'm saying? This is like I just give you a snapshot or it's like literally my life. You see what I'm saying? The thing that's important to my brothers and sisters is not important to me at all. And like everything that's important to me is not important to the motherfuckers at all. It's insane. And then like me knowing that I have the exact dialogue and that like I know like if you follow my channel, you know that I have the dialogue, the communication available. You know what I'm saying? There and they're like, okay, if I truly was to approach one of my siblings, the level of understanding is gonna be there on my part. You follow what I'm saying? When I approach my younger brother, my older brother, when I approach my sister, me as an Aquarius walking this planet for as long as I've been walking it, I've learned, especially looking at my stepbrother who's Aquarius, I've learned that like, okay, wait, something is not right here. There's some type of failure of communication here. And then like I'm gonna actually try to figure out what it is and approach it from that standpoint instead of just guessing, you know, what the problem is, especially on the intrinsic basis. Like something's bigger happening, you know what I'm saying? It's something in the stars, something just people is not the same. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna try to pay attention to detail and try to figure out, okay, like why are we failing to have a communication? Why is there a failure of communication? Me as Aquarius, unemotionally emotionally unattached, emotionally detached. Knowing that I'm emotionally detached, realizing I have to be more sensitive to my siblings' emotions. You're going to get that dialogue. Because they're water signs and they don't understand it, they don't even follow astrology, like they don't even, it's like a foreign fucking language to them. It's like somebody who watched Star Trek trying to talk to people who watch Star Trek. Like somebody who's a fucking banker trying to explain to somebody why they can't get their house approved. You know what I'm saying? They have literally no idea the keywords that's associated with Aquarius. Like I know, knowing that like we're about thoughts or more, but less emotional. Like they don't have this dialogue. They missing that whole fucking vocabulary that come along with studying astrology and the signs, and you know, they're not approaching me like this. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is why, you know what I'm saying, I was gonna put out a video, believe it or not, called Astrology is Bullshit. Because it was like, here's a fucking air sign who has 3 fucking water sign siblings who knows all this shit about astrology and it don't mean shit to them. This is why I talk about the Cassandra complex a lot on my page, and like Cassandra, who was a psychic who knew the future but nobody would listen to her. This is literally what it's like being an Aquarius and having water siblings. Because I can't, like, my siblings don't even come on this page, you know what I'm saying, and follow the videos to try to even understand, like, you know, why I think the way I think, why I do the things I do. It's like to them, I'm just fucking yelling shit on the internet. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, the things that's important to me, they don't even care. It's like strictly fucking emotion. And as time continues to play out, You know what I'm saying? We're becoming more set in our ways, you know, and um I'm putting out content like you know what I'm saying, like this is like a journal to me. You follow what I'm saying? So, and like I said, a lot of times in my life, I know I feel like I'm talking to you. I'm talking to a fucking computer. There's nobody in this room. It's like a journal. So it says we're becoming more set in our ways, you know, and I'm putting out, you know, content. I look at myself. I look at it. I'll be like, okay, well, am I tweaking? You know, if I didn't have this journal, you know, what would I really, if you know, if I didn't study astrology and I didn't have this journal, what type of person would I be? You know, and studying astrology, studying spirituality, metaphysics, comedics, you know, the Kabbalah, studying, you know, even things in the Bible, Christianity, Old Testament, New Testament. The lessons that I learned in these, you know, guides provide me so much clarity that I know for a fact if I didn't have them, I would be dead or in jail. Because I don't think how water signs think at all. But I understand. And the fact that I understand and I'm still not even getting the benefit of the doubt, you know what I'm saying? When situations play out, it's like, man, I've stepped into your world. I've stepped into the emotional world. I've calmed myself down. I'm not hitting you with hard edge facts that you can go find on my page. Just why they don't watch my page. Hard edge facts, hard edge truth. I've toned it down. You know what I'm not hollering. I'm not screaming. I'm speaking to you. You know what I'm saying? How you want to be spoken to. And then you still don't get to the logic. You still don't get to the point. You still don't get to like the forward move. This, like I said a lot of times, like this is not a court of law. This is a court of emotions. This is not a fact-based conversation. This is an emotional-based conversation. I find myself saying this a lot with, you know what I'm saying, you know, water signs. And I know that, you know, I get my justice on this channel. I get the truth on this channel. And they're like, it's kind of like being Batman or like a superhero. And they're like, okay, we live in a fucking bullshit world where I got to kind of put this disguise on and walk through life. But just know that like on here, you get the real fucking K-Blao HOODX. You get the truth. You know, so like I said, if I didn't have this, I don't know how I would be able to fucking move through life. Like I don't, you know, this channel is really giving me a theory in life, and like I don't really have much to prove, you know, in day-to-day interactions with people, because like I know the truth, you know. So as far as in the third dimension, walking around talking to people, interacting with people, you know, the third dimensional victories don't hold as much weight in my heart as they used to, and they're like in the way that, you know, people who subscribe to my channel and the comments that they leave and the confirmations that I receive in this channel, like that gives me way more fulfillment than, you know, the third dimensional day-to-day shit, you know, sitting down, eating, talking about mundane, regular things. Like, I'm not from that world, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I approach it kind of like playing fucking PlayStation 4, and then, like, it's a game, and then, like, okay, I'm literally had to create a whole other avatar for myself that I had to go into this avatar and interact with, like the fucking Matrix, for real. You know what I'm saying? And I just, the more I get more embedded in that thought, I see water sign people more and more, like I say, like cartoons, or more like a fucking program that's like controlled by forces that's like literally from another planet. And I'm just like literally playing a video game that's based on emotions. And they're like, the points in this video game are based on emotions, not logic. It took me fucking years before I realized this, and just watching the day-to-day actions of my fucking siblings. And they're like, man, stop and think. And they're like, you got an Aquarius child with 3 waters, every spectrum of water sign siblings. And ask yourself why you think the content on my page sound the way it sounds. And that like I'm got files after file after file after file after file after file. And people come and confirm the shit, you know. So you know, my perspective on this page is not just me ranting, talking shit. You know what I'm saying? It comes from real life instances. This is very difficult for people to see, and they're like, you're on that side of the screen, you're holding your phone looking at me, but I'm fucking physically sitting here. You know what I'm saying? As myself, and they're like the things that propel me to come sit down in this chair and start talking into this fucking camera. You didn't experience them things. You know what I'm saying? But if you was an Aquarius and you had fucking 3 water sign siblings, you know what I'm saying? You had a water sign spouse, you had a water sign, kids, you got most of the people that's coming to you telling you about their problems, your quote unquote friends are water signs. You know what I'm saying? Eventually you're gonna start to pick up on a very keen, you're gonna have a very keen perspective, and you're gonna be able to put out content like this, but I'm not, this is just a thought on the internet, me sitting there talking, but in real life, it's not like, I can literally, once this video go off, my life end. I'm like, no, I keep going. Once this video stops, my life keeps going. So like, I'm in here, I'm in the matrix, I'm in here playing the game, I'm down here on the planet playing the game, going through the day-to-day actions. I asked to be here, so I came here to learn this lesson. I'm learning this lesson. It's clear, that I'm learning these lessons. I'm giving my report, I'm approaching it with a level of understanding, but this avatar, this material, this page, the logic that you can find, the jewels that you find on this page, it ain't going nowhere. Eventually I'm gonna die. My body gonna break down. I'm gonna get old, crippled. I might go blind, go deaf. Bones start breaking and cracking. I already know this shit is coming. But in the meanwhile, while I got this brain, this is my chamber. And then like, I know that this lives forever. This is what, Comedians call it is, the was, and always will be. Even when I'm dead, people will be on the internet frantically searching for, the things I said and research because they still here. These are the things that's important to me, and the passion I used to share about these type of things with my siblings, it was never met at that, at that same level. It was always done just on an emotional experience. That's what I learned. And then like I've seen things from a long timeline where they kind of see experiences just, from moment to moment. So in the long timeline of things, the content you find on this channel was my true passages, like my journal. And it was the feelings that I never got to really got to manifest in this third dimension. It's a trick. The third dimension is tricky, man. The third dimension is very tricky. So that's why I decided to master the 5th and 6th dimensions content you see on this channel. You see what I'm saying? So I appreciate everybody who do subscribe to the channel. If you are a water sign, or if you you wonder why I'm putting all this content on water sign. A lot of times, it'd be just situations dealing with my my siblings, and a lot of times I don't have no way to express it, And one thing that I do want to say very clear in here, is that like, yeah, my spouse is a water sign, and I avoid putting content out, believe it or not, like very, very rarely do I put out content surrounding, situations I get into with my wife, my spouse. I very rare, like even if you go back through the cancer videos, you go back through all of my videos, I'm not that type of person to jump on the internet and, talk about, negative shit that go on in my life with my spouse, And even though a lot of the shit subconsciously do line up, like I don't vent, the shit I go through with my spouse, I don't vent that shit, on this channel, I don't think that's cool at all, So, and also too, you want to know is that like a lot of the content on this page, it do come from requests as well, and that like the things that I've seen, and I'm only able to put it out if it's confirmed. Like I don't put out shit that I read, that I just read another book and I take it and put it out. It's like, no, if I haven't experienced that shit, I'm not gonna put it in the video. It has to be confirmed, So yeah, that's just a little insight like I said on this channel. And if one of my brothers and sisters do come across this video, I would let y'all know that what the fuck is you even doing on this channel anyway, motherfucker. Peace.
Dream. See that shit? I told you, motherfucker. I told you, motherfucker. I told you. If you're a water sign, you better watch your fucking mouth. You better watch what the fuck you doing because this shit gonna fucking backfire. Especially if you're a Scorpio. You never know what's being recorded. You never know who the fuck is watching. You think you slick. You think motherfuckers can't see what the fuck you doing. It's gonna fucking backfire. I told you, motherfucker. This shit. You know what I'm saying? Hold on one second. I gotta go like this blunt, man. I gotta go like this blunt, but I just want y'all to know. You know what I'm saying? It's not a game. It's not a fucking game. Alright, so it's your boy K-Blao HOODX, you know what I'm saying? I just did this whole fucking video, just like I did the Virgo verse video. The whole audio fucked up because I'm a fucking idiot. And YouTube fucked up my live stream, so I ain't gonna be able to go live until like July, some shit like that. So I have a whole different way of recording. And when I record, if you don't hit this button, the audio be fucked up. And I think I got that shit down pat. I do not think I'm gonna do that shit a third time. But fuck all that. This video is about Roseanne Barr as well as Drizzy Drake, who are going through a tough time right now in the media because they're being dragged through the mud for some shit that's by their own fucking doing. Because Drake is got a scathing diss record put out about him by a dude named Pusha T, who was one of my favorite artists back in the day. I'm glad to see he did that shit. You know what I'm saying? And Drake is basically making it look like Drake was hiding his baby. Drake was gonna basically come out and say he had a son during this Adidas press run. You know what I'm saying? But if you follow Drake's career, you kind of know, like, man, he ain't really said nothing about having no baby. Like, they've been trying to keep this shit secret. So Pusha T coming out and exposing all this shit, it's not a good look for somebody like Drake, who's a Scorpio, who don't like being exposed. Drake had put out a record called Duppy or some shit like that. Basically going at Pusha T with the scorpion tail, had a little shiny ring at the cover. It was real nice, you know what I'm saying? It was cute. But like, you dealing with the Taurus verse, man. Like, Pusha T a Taurus, he burned May 13th. You know what I'm saying? You fucking with the Taurus verse. Like, Pusha T spit law. Like, you can hear the shadow walkers in Pusha T. Like, when Pusha T spit, like, he say ruthless shit, man. Like, I grew up listening to Pusha T. You're not about to, that ain't gonna be an easy fight. You see what I'm saying? Cause like, he gonna go in the law on your ass. You know, and you know, Drake baby mom is supposed to be like his porn star stripper chick, and like, you know what I'm saying, they really trying to clean up her image now that all this stuff is going public. You know what I'm saying? Drake got deals with Adidas and Sprite and like, you know what I'm saying, like real EA Sports, like real fancy, you know, businesses. So him having a baby with a stripper porn star type, you know what I'm saying, it's really not a good look. So like, they really trying to package it and make it look a certain way. And Pusha T is just all over that shit. Like, you know, it's some Scorpio shit. They're trying to make an image out of this shit. You see what I'm saying? Drake got a lot of shit riding on him, and then like, you know, he signed to like basically 4 different labels. You think Young Money, which is signed to Cash Money, which is signed to like another label, which is signed to Universal. You see what I'm saying? Some shit like that. So like, they cutting up his money like 4 different ways, but at the same time, he get a much bigger push because you got all these companies pushing him. So like, you know, that's why it's got to look a certain way. You know, that's why he achieved heights that Lil Wayne couldn't get, and then like Drake is supposed to be way more squeaky clean type of image. You see what I'm saying? But this is totally backfired on him in true Scorpio fashion. If you look at my video why I hate Scorpios, you kind of see why me saying this exact type of shit. And they're like, Scorpios, they think they slick, man, but like, I can see through the bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally, you talking about Pusha T or Taurus, and they're like, he gonna see through the bullshit. Pusha T gonna see through the bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, same shit with Poe. Like, Poe see through bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Shout out my man Poe. You know what I'm saying? He born on the 16th. You know what I'm saying? So the Taurus verse gonna see through the bullshit. They gonna look at the real character, and they're like, Pusha T gonna go for your heart. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's all facts. All facts. You know, even the picture you look at with Drake with his blackface on, you know what I'm saying? Even though it you know what I'm saying, it's more to that picture than what they telling you, and they're like, you know, it was for a clothesline, they were trying to make a message with that picture. Pusha T still he used facts, man. It's like he not exaggerating none of that shit. It's all facts. It's all like he put it right in your face. You see what I'm saying? So to make you really question the image and you know what I'm saying, the heart of the character, it's just like look at his character. Basically that's what Pusha T saying. Like this is what you're gonna get with the Taurus verse. It's gonna make you like, man, look, what's your character? You know what I'm saying? And when you're dealing with water signs, it's easy to separate that water from the real person. It's like you can see, it's like, Joe, all that shit don't add up. That's not who you really are. When you look at me, it's like what you see is what you get. My mistakes. You know what I'm saying? When I fuck up, I fuck up. You know what I'm saying? When I can tell you I fucked up, you know what I'm saying? If you don't get me covering up shit, it's like, Joe, like this is what the fuck you see is what the fuck you get. With Drake, it ain't like that. It's the same shit with Roseanne. It's like Roseanne, you know what I'm saying? Even though you look at her on ABC, you know what I'm saying, and she look a certain way, that's still a watered down version of what the fuck it really is. You talking about a Scorpio woman like Roseanne, and like she got in trouble for saying some racist shit about you know what I'm saying, President Barack Obama's advisor Valerie Jarrett. You see what I'm saying? She basically came out and said she looked like a woman from Planet of the Apes. You know what I'm saying? So you know, because of that, Roseanne got taken off the air again for the second time. You see what I'm saying? And like, mind you, this just came back on the air after years and years of being off the air. Roseanne could not get a lot of gigs in Hollywood. You saying for her to get this gig, this was big. This was really big for her. You see what I'm saying? This was really big. They brought Dan back from the grave. You know what I'm saying? They had even started filming season 2. You know what I'm saying? The whole cast and crew had came back. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of momentum behind it. They had over like 18 million viewers. You know, for the first episode. It was a huge return. And then for her to do this, you know what I'm saying? This is some straight Scorpio shit. A lot of times you deal with Scorpios, man, all you gotta do is just sit back and let this wheels turn. And like they gonna fuck their own shit up. And then like when they do, it's gonna be damage control. It's like trying to uphold an image. There's some ratchet shit going on outside. But I say this in my video. Go watch my Why I Hate Scorpio videos, man. Go watch the Why I Hate Scorpio video. I say this exact same shit. And then like, you know, you dealing with air shit like Twitter. And then like when you put a tweet out there, it's there forever. You know what I'm saying? Roseanne is a comedian, so it's expected for her to say funny, you know, borderline, you know, edgy shit. But like, you think you can get out there untamed and like, you know what I'm saying, and just say shit like that after you just got on ABC? Like you just got back on ABC. You supposed to tone it down. It's like you're supposed to be telling ABC type jokes. Like you know what I'm saying? But Roseanne is Scorpio fashion. You know what I'm saying? Vulgar, no class. You see what I'm saying? Even if they do, like Scorpio women, a lot of they show you class. A lot of shit be fake as hell. Like that shit ain't class, man. That's some fucking thirst trap shit. Like they trying to trap your ass. Like you know what I'm saying? So you know, you imagine being married to Roseanne right now. Like if you was really like what's that dude named Tom Arnold? So saying they divorced. You know what I'm saying? But like you imagine being married to Roseanne and like trying to deal with her and like trying to comfort her through this situation like this. You know what I'm saying? And then like it's not like she gonna look at you and say, man, I fucked up. It's like she gonna be sitting there pointing her finger at everybody. And in the back of your mind, you gonna know that like, bitch, it was you. You fucked up. You say, but how you gonna tell her that? Imagine being married to Roseanne right now. You know what I'm saying? Or imagine being Drake baby mama right now. And then like all that shit, the way that shit playing out, like all that shit, him hiding, him not being there through the weather, you know what I'm saying? And then Pusha T coming out saying all that shit. Imagine being her. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna. It's like you can see the image, you can see the bullshit, you can see like you gonna separate the water from the real person. Scorpios make you do this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's why I hope if you a Scorpio, even though me saying this shit, like I know if you're a Scorpio, I know that you ain't even hearing this shit. It's like Scorpios be so focused on stinging a motherfucker that they don't never know. Like I said this shit in my video, the sting always backfired. The sting backfired. Roseanne tried to sting this shit, it backfired. Drake tried to sting Pusha T with that little duppy shit, it fucking backfired. The sting backfires. And then like Scorpios pride themselves on being able to sting people. Oh, if you out, I'm a nice person. I'm such a nice person. But if you ever cross me, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna get back at you. It's like, motherfucker, yeah. And then you gonna fuck your own self up. Look at you know, it's a chick, what's this chick name, man? what is this chick's name, man? Barbara. Barbara. What is her name? And what the fuck is her name, man? This lady. Betty Broderick. Betty Broderick. You know what I'm saying? If you never heard of Betty Broderick, you know, this is a perfect example of a Scorpio woman. Like, go look at her testimony. It's too much shit to talk about. You know what I'm saying? But like, go look at her explain why she killed her husband. You see what I'm saying? And you're gonna see exactly what I'm trying to give you in this video. And then like, you're not dealing with accountability, you're not dealing with like logic, you're dealing with like, you know what I'm saying, almost like a minion, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Scorpio like to, you know what I'm saying? Like these motherfuckers are the minions. This was like being a Scorpio. These motherfuckers, man. Like, you see what I'm saying? Especially a Scorpio woman. It's like being married to one of these motherfuckers, Joe. Because it's like you ain't dealing with logic and intellect. Like you dealing with a fucking minion, Joe. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how fucking Roseanne looked to me. It's like sitting there trying to explain to her that you fucked. Like, imagine trying to explain to a minion that, okay, minion, because you put this shit on Twitter, we're gonna cancel your show. Like, how do you expect a minion to respond to that? You see what I'm saying? Imagine Drake running around right now after Pusha T put out this record. You know what I'm saying? That you gonna get this shit right here. We look at Betty Broderick, same thing. Like the way that she tried to reason why she killed her husband. It's literally this shit. Mind you, Betty Broderick's husband was a Scorpio too. You see what I'm saying? You do some research on that. It's a hell of a story. But you know, the sting backfires. Always remember that when you're dealing with Scorpio. And if you are a Scorpio, I hope you remember this shit yourself. Just as much as you pride yourself on that sting in motherfucking. Trust me, Scorpios know this shit themselves too. And they're like, whoever they end up shitting on, they take it too far. They do the stupid shit they do. They always end up regretting that shit. And it's like they never put that panic. They always pride themselves on being able to sting a motherfucker. But then like, you got to be the person that prides yourself on knowing that shit gonna backfire. Be that person. Just as like, it's just as soon as a Scorpio person look at you and smile and say, you know, Scorpios is the strongest sign. We'll always get back at you if you ever try to cross us over. Just smile right back at them and say, and I know that shit's gonna backfire. You know what I'm saying? Because it always fucking do. That's what always give me that. Just be confident and smile in the Scorpio face and just know that whatever the fuck they do is gonna backfire 90% of the time. You know what I'm saying? I promise you. Because they minions, man. Like, just know that in their core, you dealing with that shit. It always, they sound a certain way when they say shit. Like, when you hear Drake Duppy freestyle, when you hear him say all that shit, it's like, damn, it's like you watch, what's that shit? Snoop listening to Drake, to Duppy. See, like, you gonna be like this. When you hear a Scorpio talk, it sounds like this. I don't want the video to get flagged, you see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna turn the music down. You know what I'm saying? Because I know they be on it. But like Snoop listening to Drake diss, you can go watch this video yourself, you see what I'm saying? And like when you first start listening to a Scorpio, this is the exact expression you're gonna have. It's gonna sound a certain way. You're gonna be like, damn, like it's gonna sound reasonable. Like all you gotta do is just sit the fuck back and then like let that shit play out. And you're gonna be like, damn, you're gonna be shaking your fucking head. Because like they gonna convince you that they shit is the real. They gonna convince you that what they saying is the motherfucking truth. Like go listen to Betty Broderick. You're gonna be kind of like this. You're gonna be like, especially like, man, you gotta remember, it's a lot of women out here who believe Betty Broderick wasn't right. You see how you doing that shit? Scorpio gonna make you do that. Just remember this. Remember this. I'm showing you these images on purpose. Like a Scorpio gonna grab your attention. They're gonna have you like, damn, that's some real shit. But just remember, Joe, that shit is skewed. It's an image. That shit ain't gonna add some bullshit. And they're like, let's go watch Broderick explain, you know what I'm saying? Go to fucking Roseanne Twitter page, man, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Roseanne. Go to Roseanne Twitter page today and look at all the shit she tweeted. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna get the Duppy reaction. To say that we're gonna call that the Duppy reaction. You know what I'm saying? Like when you listen to it, man, what the fuck just happened, man? See, my computer be on bush. Like when you listen to a Scorpio man, what the fuck going on? Man, we're seeing how we here. Make sure you fucking follow me on Twitter, HOODX TV. Seeing how this shit wanna act like an ass, so I use it in my bill. Alright. But get a chance to go to Roseanne Twitter page, man. And look how she done went shit. It's a train wreck. She tweeting Non-stop. 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 1 hour ago, 3 hours ago. People saying they support Roseanne. Let's get her 1 million followers, show support. You know what I'm saying? What does this shit say? I think I'll be better tomorrow. The hardest part is for Jane and Ray on the show, whom I grew to love, some other shame. Blah, blah, blah. I do not love her because she's African American. It's the most god awful thing. I can't let myself cave in though. Yeah, you get that type of shit. I mean, I guess it looked like she got some type of accountability going here, but like at the end of the day, you see this as a train wreck, and they're like, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Trying to build a movement. I don't know, man. You know, if you're a Scorpio, you feel sorry for Roseanne. You might want to go follow her Twitter page and follow her shit, because like she's literally having a train wreck right now. Like she literally just like this is pretty fucked up. And like, and mind you, like she put out a you know, like earlier she was putting out all this content. See, like it says Allison Mack is branding sex slaves, but they still got Smallville on the air, and she got caught doing some sex slave shit. The chick from Smallville, I don't know if y'all know that, she's a Leo. She got caught doing some sex trafficking and slave shit, but they still got Smallville in the air. And you know, shit, Keith Olbermann saying shit like this, and you know, basically she's trying to point out a lot of, you know, hypocrisy in there. Like it's all type of pedophiles in Hollywood, and they still got to work. It was, I saw some of these posts earlier saying shit like this, and they're like, you know, how the hypocrisy of Hollywood, basically like how she got fired, and there's all these different types of people in Hollywood still working, and they did more bogus shit than her, and then, you know, you get this type of shit going, and like, you know, this thing always backfire. You always going to see a Scorpio end up doing shit like this, and they're like, you may not even see it yourself. If you get into it with a Scorpio, you know what I'm saying, you leave, just go, when you walk away, just know that they going through this type of shit, and they're like, you won't get to see it yourself, but just know that it's real. And they're like, they try to use silence as a weapon a lot of times. They try not to say shit, but like, trust me, man, like behind closed doors, they be doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because them emotions still be turning in their ass, even though they fixed this, it's fixed emotion. So it's like that shit is turning in their ass. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of times, just you gotta just sit the fuck back and know that like that energy ain't complete yet, and it's gotta work its cycle through them. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the best you could do is, you know what I'm saying, offer support and try to approach it with a state of understanding. And like even me giving you this information, it sound ruthless, but like that don't mean that you should be ruthless. And like me giving you, you know, I don't want you to think that you got to sound like me giving a Scorpio this information. And like I do this shit ruthless because I'm ruthless. You see what I'm saying? But you know, you really got to understand. You really got to approach them with a state of understanding. A lot of Scorpios be depressed. They be fucked up. They be, you know what I'm saying? They just fucked up mentally. So like when they get into a position of power, you know what I'm saying, they leadership be off. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, it's a image. When you look at Drake, you know what I'm saying? Like it's an image. You know what I'm saying? It's like when he is in a very high position of power, but look what he doing with. He got a son. He not, you know, he not trying to present it a certain way. It's like it's flawed as fuck, man. You know, he ain't put shit out since May 27th. He still ain't even responded. You go to Twitter, he still ain't even responded. So, you know, behind closed doors, he doing the same shit Roseanne doing, believe it or not. You just can't see this shit. You know. But like if you get into it with a Scorpio and you right, just know that you right. Like push your teeth, like that nigga, he right. It's like this is straight Taurus verse shit. Like Poe, shout out Poe. Poe say this shit all the time. He's like, man, don't worry about if you right or wrong. Just say say the truth and know it's the motherfucking truth and just stand on that shit. And that's real shit. And they're like, you know, that's real advice from the Taurus verse, especially when you're dealing with a Scorpio. So you know, just remember that, like I said, in this video, the sting will always backfire. You know, if you got stung by a Scorpio, you know what I'm saying? Trust me, somewhere along the line they regret that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And if you ain't learned, you gonna learn. You gonna fucking learn. 100.
that judge me because it's down real quick.
I'm living these lines, I swear I'm giving you my life. Perceptions are affected, spit my soul into this mic. Look into my eyes, I made a track.
Yo, girl, what the hell are you doing?
What are you texting?
What up? It's your boy K-Blao, HOODX. Want to make a video. This video is called the Aquarius Hero. Alright. So what I want to talk about in this video is a couple of things. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I talk about things like the precession of the equinoxes. And this video has to deal with that. It also has to deal with the concept of Haru. You know, the notion of hero. There's a lot of good material out about hero and the concept of what hero is. And before there was the word hero, there was the word Haru. Haru was the first hero, basically. This is Haru. And he in Comedics, he was basically the first hero. So all archetypes of what was known as a hero basically came from him, and that this is a story of like forces working against the main character of the story, who basically starts out one way, but then he ends up growing into something, you know, greater than himself. There's a video series I call The Power of Myth. You might find it kind of boring, you know. I loved it though, but you know what I'm saying. This is me. I'm a writer, so I love watching stuff like that. But there was a book out in a video series called The Power of Myth. It's a great video series to watch to really understand the concept of what a hero really is. There's another video series I'll call Hancock Exposed, which really builds where I'm going with this concept as far as Haru and how he was really the first archetype of heroes. But he came out of the age of Taurus, which is, you know, in HOODX we call it Taurus verse. So this is the hero of during the age of Taurus. So his story is about his father basically dying and him resurrecting through his father. Now the story got translated as time went on. You know, we moved through the precession of the equinoxes. We go from Taurus to Aries to Pisces, then to Aquarius. So the hero archetype, like I said, for the age of a Taurus is what you get with Haru. And this is what you get when you're dealing with a lot of Taurus, is that they concept the way that they perceive themselves as the hero of their own story, and that it's kind of rigid in a way, and that you kind of see now in this age we in now, the age of Pisces,
you know, how the Taurus verse, you know, anybody who had that Taurus archetype got basically destroyed during this time. And then like I say, they kill more bulls. You can go watch my series. I got a series called the Taurus verse, and that you see this is what's happening to Haru in this age, and that Haru is being slaughtered. Haru, you know, you look at basically who is this god the god of? He's really the god of black men. And you look at what's happening to black men during the age of Pisces. You see, we've been enslaved, we've been chained, we've been killed, we've been sacrificed, just like bulls. You look at like, you know, even the running of the bull in Spain, stuff like that. Like, it's not a good century. It's not a good age right now for bulls in general, or cows. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's basically happening to this hero right now in this age. But back in his time, you know, the cow, the bull, these were sacred animals, and that you know, during that time, it was like considered unholy to even eat a cow. Like, cows are considered holy. You know what I'm saying? So this hero, this archetype, was it was more about knowledge itself, about knowing who you are. And like when you watch The Lion King, this was kind of the story of Haru. Simba was basically Haru. It was like about finding yourself and being true to yourself. And this is what Tauruses are really about. And that you see, this is how they see their archetype as their hero is, you know, being true to yourself, staying true to your roots, not selling out. You know what I'm saying? The pursuit of money, the pursuit of happiness, but staying true to yourself. You know, resurrecting, you know, your father's name, your parents' name, your mother's name, you know, carrying on the family tradition, stuff like that. Passing on generational cultures to the next generation. This is all, you know, the Taurus hero. What happened is, like I said, we moved into the age of Aries. There's a new type of hero that took form. You know what I'm saying? And Moses, when you look at the story of Moses and, you know, how he became the next Messiah for, you know, for the Jews, basically they moved, from the Taurus heroes into Jewish heroes. You know, so we look at the Old Testament, you look at, you know, all of the characters in the Old Testament, you know what I'm saying, starting with basically like Moses, who was, you know, the first hero of in this time. So he, you look at his story, how he came over into, you know, there was a slaughter going on, you know, and his mom sent him out in a basket, you know, to basically he got caught in a time and ended up in Egypt. You know, saying Moses ended up being raised by you know, he was raised in a different land. You know what I'm saying? So even though, you know, Moses was a Jew, he was still raised as an Egyptian. So you know, these stories, there's a lot of stories in the Old Testament that you see get translated on to Jewish culture, and this is kind of what you see in the beginning of Hollywood. You know, when Hollywood first took off, and some of the old original like scopes, fairy tales and folk tales and stuff like that that get passed down to, you know, where the Aries archetype of hero, you know, and you see this play out when you look at stories like Superman, where like Superman was basically, he was on the planet Krypton, and they sent him, you know, to another land where he rose up, and it was about staying true to himself. You know, the same concept from the Taurus verse series, you know what I'm saying, but a more updated version in that, you know, this archetype of a hero is being swept away into a foreign land, and he's staying true to himself, you know, in this foreign land, and he's basically a symbol, a beacon of hope, or like becoming a symbol of hope, you know. So it's basically about, you know, almost coming off as perfect, you know what I'm saying. You kind of look at Aries energy, you know what I'm saying, it's the same thing. It's about, you know, challenging good and evil, challenging the forces of evil, you know what I'm saying. Same thing about being true to yourself, but also you see the challenge, you see the conflict more in this hero archetype. And, you know what I'm saying, it's about, the Aries about Ram energy, so it's going to be more conflict, it's going to be more defined in the culture, and then like you see, whereas you know, the Taurus hero did not really have as much, they weren't more aware of the you know, if you look at Comedics, it's doing Egypt, it stays in Egypt. It's kind of like Taurus energy, and they're like everything kind of takes place there. It wasn't really aware of it doesn't really take place in the rest of the world, all the different types of cultures, all of these guys. It just connects. It's all right there in Egypt and connect. Whereas like when you start to look at say Aries, there's different cultures being formed, and like it's different flags. It's different people representing different flags, and you know they got different land. Now they're going to Canaan, they're going to Bethlehem, they're going to Israel. They got all of these different lands and different cultures being formed. This is what Aries is about. It's about cultural, the culture of things, and what you represent, the language. All this stuff took place in the Old Testament. Babylon, the story of Babylon, and splitting the language up, and the customs and the culture and the food and the music, and all of these is what Aries is symbolic of. Is the people who create the culture, basically. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I often say Aries a lot of times fit the demographic, and that like that's kind of what you see in the story of Moses, or you see in the story of even like you look at the DC characters. That's why I use them as a huge reference point in the same concept. Is that like because these were originally characters that written in the same type of Jewish lore that you see with characters like when you look at the difference between get this straight. When you look at this difference between the DC characters and the Marvel characters, you kind of see where this stuff led to. And then like when you look at the DC characters, they're more like gods almost, and that they are more of a Aries type of character dynamic. And that's what kind of like you look at the church and you look at what's happening with the church right now, how people are not identifying with these type of DC type of characters, or like even the Jewish culture, and it's kind of being looked down upon in a way. It's like people can see through Hollywood now. You know what I'm saying? So like the stories are changing. Like I said, you see it's a different type of hero that's being molded now. And then like when you look at the Marvel characters, you see they don't do what the DC characters do. And as you see, like the Marvel characters are more written flawed, more like Christ. And when you look at the concept of Christ, Christ is like the hero of the Pisces age. It's like Moses represented the Aries age, and Haru represented the Taurus age. Christ represents the Pisces age in the procession of the equinox. So you look at Christ is talking about embracing your flaws and admitting that you're a sinner and stuff like that, because it makes your character better. You know what I'm saying? This is one thing that a lot of the Jews, the Jewish heroes weren't really about, and it really wasn't about. I mean, when you look at the concept of Moses, he killed somebody. You know what I'm saying? Then you go back to the conflict of Aries first. You know what I'm saying? So when he ran to the burning bush of God, you know what I'm saying? He admitted his sins, but then it was about bringing his people out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really, and then creating that culture, the Ten Commandments. So this is Aries thing. It wasn't really about like the fight that Christ had, which was about spiritual awakening and stuff like that. It was it's more about laying down. The Aries archetype is more about laying down the laws, laying down the culture, the rules and stuff like that in order to build what they consider Israel, the kingdom of God. The Christian, Christ is more about the internal, building the internal, knowing that you're flawed and correcting it, and getting into the kingdom of God, accepting your flaws, accepting your sins, admitting that you're a sinner, loving your enemy, stuff like that. This is what you get with Marvel characters, and they are more written flawed. When you look at, like I said, you look at the Hulk. Hulk has temper issues that he tries to correct. You look at all of them. Spider-Man, you know what I'm saying? He regrets, the fact that his uncle got killed, you know what I'm saying? And that same thing, written flawed. He has all type of problems with his girlfriend, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. Traditionally, this is not what comics was written about in the DC age, you know what I'm saying? They was just super powerful heroes. They didn't have day-to-day problems that you find with Marvel, and they like I said, the characters were written, basically written flawed. You look at characters like Daredevil. This dude is blind, you know what I'm saying? the fantastic. This really started with the Fantastic Four, who was really the first family of comic books, and like they were bickering, going back and forth, and they used to kind of argue and make up with each other, and like the DC characters didn't really have this, and like people had never really seen this with comic books at the time, and that's why these heroes were more identified with, because they were flawed. They were written. People identified because that's the age we living in. We living in an age of Pisces, so it was more about the emotion of things. It wasn't about necessarily coming off perfect. Like how you see, or you're trying to lay down a foundation of culture, like how you see with DC. It was more about just dealing with the day-to-day problems, and the regular human things that people go through, and that's why to this day in this age people relate to Marvel movies more than the DC movies, and that that type of hero archetype people don't relate to no more. You know what I'm saying? But even what you get with Marvel right now is that I'm starting to see is that like even these type of heroes, it's not just I'm not saying even comic books too. You look at just all of the movies that come out, they came out in the past 20, 30 years, even 40 years, you kind of see that cusp of change where like the Aries archetype of hero moving into that Pisces archetype of hero, where it's more like doing the right thing and overcoming the flaws and stuff like that, and like whereas more the earlier movies, when movies first started coming out, it was basically almost shallow type characters that were just challenging each other, but you didn't really understand the motivational force behind the conflict. You know what I'm saying? So Hollywood recently has really started to make better movies in relationship to the timing, the climate of the time of the type of hero. You know what I'm saying? So now as we move into the age of Aquarius, even the Marvel heroes you're starting to see they're starting to take a more darker, a more nihilistic type of approach. You know what I'm saying? When you look at like right now the number one hero movie selling all time right now that just came out is Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? And you look at what happened in that movie, and that like there's all type of conflict that was going on. It was all type of you see the Pisces energy in that it was about overcoming internal pain, internal sins of the father, stuff like this, and trying to find your true inner light. You know what I'm saying? They had conflict between the family, and it's you see that the characters are not as perfect, nowhere near as perfect, as the Aries type or even the Taurus type of heroes, and they're like they coming at you even more flawed now. You know what I'm saying? It's way more conflict. It's not about just regular superpowers and stuff like that. They're trying to create this regular conflict dynamic between families and stuff like that, where it's like these heroes are really, really flawed now, and that's what you start to get as we move more into the Aquarian type of archetype. You see, you can't really characters like Magneto now. You know what I'm saying? They're like the way that they keep writing his story more and more, or like even characters like Eric Killmonger, like this guy right here in the Black Panther, and they're like you really can relate to why the villain is doing what he's doing, and they're like you kind of blend the dynamic between the hero and the villain. It's kind of hard to it's getting that line is getting more blurred and blurred because but back in the day, in the comic books it was illegal to actually explain the villain's backstory, and then like the villains, you weren't supposed to sympathize with the villain at all. It was just a good guy and you had a bad guy. The bad guy didn't have a backstory. He was just bad and he was just trying to take over the world. He was trying to do what he do. This is Aries hero villain archetype thing. It was just conflict. You didn't really have an understanding of the conflict. Well, when you get with the Pisces hero type, like I said, Marvel, in the more age like the X-Men and stuff like that, you understood the dynamic of the conflict. You understood why these villains were doing what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? You didn't really get that with the Joker back in the day, or Lex Luthor and stuff. They were just bad because they were bad. You know what I'm saying? You understood why Magneto wanted to do what he wanted to do, and there was a philosophy behind all of that. And as the characters became more sophisticated, you started getting characters like this, like Eric Killmonger, you know, it was different types of conflict that the heroes had to overcome. It wasn't just, you know, bad guy and good guy no more. It was like, you know, this is in your family. You fighting people in your family, stuff like that. So like this is moving more to the Aquarian hero, and then like, you know, the character, the hero is get more and more messed up. You know what I'm saying? You look at this guy right here, Deadpool. You know what I'm saying? This is a perfect example of the Aquarian hero, and that like you see he's totally flawed, and that like it's handed to you fucked up from the beginning. When you look at even my channel, you look at the way I discuss a lot of the content, and that like it's like it's fucked up. Just like you have to accept that it's fucked up front. You know what I'm saying? The character is fucked up. This is a fucked up hero. You live in a fucked up time. You know what I'm saying? So like it's more about you know what I'm saying, even though it's fucked up, it's about that's Aquarius about righting the wrongs a lot of times. Not necessarily revenge, but like something was done that was done wrong, and like now it has to be corrected. You know what I'm saying? You see this with Deadpool. You see this with and the other thing too about Deadpool is like he's aware that he's in a movie. You see this, and they're aware of the fucked up situation. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got so many people nowadays trying to come off still like DC characters, and they're not understanding is that like it's a different hero type. There's people do not relate to. Look at the Justice League movie that just came out, and you look at like, you know, the Black Panther movie come out, you be like, man, like you would think that Superman movie would, you know, Justice League would do better than Black Panther, but coming out Black Panther, you know what I'm saying, beat them all, because people are looking for this new type of hero. You know what I'm saying? When you look at this movie just came out, Thor Ragnarok, you know what I'm saying? There was this character right here, her name was Valkyrie, you know what I'm saying? She had a drinking problem. You know what I'm saying? This is totally against the comic book code back in the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you grew up back in the day and you reading comic books, it was you definitely did not put into this character that the character had a drinking problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was drunk through, like, you know what I'm saying, through the majority of the movie, and it was something that she really struggled with. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, it's kids watching these movies. You know what I'm saying? But it's accepted now. We living in an age now. The heroes got these problems. These heroes are not perfect. You know what I'm saying? And it's we're moving past. Now you starting to see like Marvel is moving past the Pisces, like, you know, the traditional Spider-Man, you know, even that type of Pisces angel, like, you know, the Incredible Hulk, or Captain America, and like these type of flawed heroes, they're getting even more flawed when you look at the stuff that they're coming out now, stuff like Deadpool, stuff like this one with Valkyrie. You see what I'm saying? When you look at like a perfect example, this chick, you know what I'm saying? This is a combination exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if you watch her. She has a TV show. This is Jessica Jones. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. She's drinking. She's depressing. She's you know, and this is the other thing too, is that, you know, we in the Aquarius hero now, it's being more accepted as females are being heroes. You know what I'm saying? You're starting to see more and more dynamic females with these issues coming to the surface. You know what I'm saying? Jessica Jones is a perfect example of this. You know, a hero that's fucked up, off rip, you know what I'm saying, type of addiction, drinking, you know what I'm saying, and you see what Marvel, like I say, Marvel is already moving past their traditional, you know, Avengers type characters into these darker and darker characters that come at you fucked up off rip, you know what I'm saying, because they understand that, like, in this age, everybody has issues, and the more, oh wow, my computer won't do this right now. Yeah, I gotta give me 1 second. And the more you can embrace your flaws, the more you're relatable. You look at this guy, Punisher. You know what I'm saying? Perfect example of this guy got PTSD out the ass. He can write a book on PTSD. Hold on, man. Y'all gotta give me a second. I gotta run and grab my plug. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so like I said, I watched The Punisher. You know, I love the show, and that you know his character's the same thing. This character's been around for a while, but you see how it's like now we're in a time where people can really start to appreciate the character, because, you know, it was kind of ahead of its time. You know, a lot of the Marvel characters that's coming out now like this was really shocking. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, whereas now it's more understood. You know what I'm saying? That like it's time. People want to see these stories. People can embrace these type of characters now because we're more flawed. We're living in a more flawed time. Aquarius, a big thing about Aquarius is about correcting what was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Revolutionizing things that's wrong. Justify, justice. You know what I'm saying? Correcting things that are unjust. So even though you see characters like the Punisher, he's more ruthless, but at the same time he has principles. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to correct something that was wrong. He's not trying to you know what I'm saying? He's right there at that fine line between good and evil. You know what I'm saying? So this is Aquarius image. You know what I'm saying? So we're getting more and more of these type of heroes coming out. I follow this show. There's a show out called right now called Homeland. You know what I'm saying? This lady right here, her name is Carrie. And this is talking about the hero characters that that are taking on drama that you traditionally see guys in. You know what I'm saying? This is a perfect example of this chick she's bipolar. You know what I'm saying? So she be on meds, breaking down, having all type of, you know what I'm saying, hysteria and anxiety, you know what I'm saying? And she you know what I'm saying, she's been restrained in a couple episodes, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, man, like why would they make the main character bipolar? This is not traditional stuff that, you know what I'm saying, if you was gonna make a movie, traditionally, you know what I'm saying, you would not make yourself bipolar. You know what I'm saying? You would try to make yourself cool, clean, and you know what I'm saying, and coming off more like Superman and Batman and you know what I'm saying, Moses and you know, maybe even Haru. You know what I'm saying? But like that's not what we in now. You look at even character Rocky and that, like you're saying, like Sylvester Stallone is a very smart dude, but like you imagine him filming Rocky, he's acting like an idiot. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like where we started to get into these anti-hero type, you know what I'm saying, characters that people wanted to embrace, you know what I'm saying, these heroes. So now you got everybody out here acting like a badass. Everybody's acting like they're slow. Everybody's acting like there's something wrong with them, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, they're developing these characters that, you know, people in Hollywood is trying to portray, you know, real people. This woman right here, this is Rey from Star Wars, you know what I'm saying? This is female, same thing I'm talking about. This is Star Wars is traditionally a more masculine type show, but she is, you know, more of Aquarian type energy. You know what I'm saying? And she's a female, but like she's not real shapely. She has a thin Aquarian look to her. You know what I'm saying? Like she's a female, she's beautiful. She don't have like, you know, she's not. She's, you know, looking at her. She, you know, when you watching this movie, you don't necessarily try to identify her as like a model type chick, and they're like it's an Aquarius type woman. And they're like it's a woman, but I wouldn't say masculine per se, but it's not a traditional woman. You know what I'm saying? It's like a hero woman. You know what I'm saying? So she's fighting. She's got sticks. She's got swords. She's, you know, combating. You know, she's challenging. You know what I'm saying? This is not stuff that you traditionally see in movies. This is not traditional Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? It's actually pissing a lot of people off, but it's the age that we living in. You know what I'm saying? It's not the patriarch Star Wars. It's like, okay, there's a female side for this too. And even though she's a female, she's more like an Aquarius female in it. Like she has a masculine presence about her that's still sexy, but she'll beat your ass and she's very smart. You know what I'm saying? So you see this coming to the surface more and more. It's, you know, people are not trying to be the traditional hero. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this really started with, you know, Marvel seeing, you know what I'm saying? That's what you really see, like the Justice League movies are not doing, is nowhere as good as, you know, the Marvel movies. So look at yourself and look at your flaws. And you know what I'm saying? This is the same thing that Christ was saying. And they're like, you know, you don't have to be a DC character. You're here, you in your own story, you don't have to be Superman. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to be, you know, somebody like Deadpool and realize that when you look at my videos do not come off perfect. If you're trying to make a product or a video series, you're trying to present yourself, and nowadays you do not have to come off perfect. It's okay to throw in little, you know, things about yourself. It's okay to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is what people are looking for. One of my favorite heroes, you know what I'm saying, this guy, Blade, you know what I'm saying? And then he's a vampire, you know what I'm saying? And then he's basically a hero with a disease. You know what I'm saying? So and he's trying to inject you know, something in him to keep him from not going all the way vampire on you. You see what I'm saying? So like it's basically a hero with a disease. You see what I'm saying? And you know, and is a vampire. You see what I'm saying? So like it's Marvel is like I say, they, you know, you transition, you think of Marvel, you think of, like I said, the Avengers, these Spider-Man, Iron Man, stuff like that. But like, you know, they know that right now we're moving into the age of the Aquarius hero. You feel what I'm saying? Where it's like DC hasn't really like DC has a show out right now. It's called Black Lightning, and you see they trying to do that. They're trying to create conflict on that show. You know what I'm saying? Traditional family conflict, stuff like that. Not traditional good guy bad guy conflict. You know what I'm saying? So like DC is just now really trying to get to that point where they're giving you these heroes you can relate to. Matter of fact, like in the recent Avengers movie, they had this scene where Aquaman was drinking. You see what I'm saying? And like traditionally, when you go look at the story of Aquaman, like this is not the traditional Aquaman that's in the comic books. And like they changed his whole. They were trying to make him into the Aquarius Aquaman. You see what I'm saying? And they're like he's drinking, he's a badass, and he's a renegade. And he don't want to work with nobody. He wants to stay alone. Like this is not. They made all this shit up for the movie. You see what I'm saying? So you know, because DC is trying to get with the times. You know what I'm saying? The Marvel characters, a lot of them was written fucked up off rip. You see what I'm saying? So you kind of see. I use that as a manipulation. You see that in the manipulation of where they trying to take these heroes. You see what I'm saying? And you start asking yourself, man, why are the heroes doing these things? And they're like, I'm not used to seeing these. Well, you go back to this movie, Hancock. This is a movie with Will Smith, and then like he was a black superhero. He was in jail. You know what I'm saying? He was drinking. He was an alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, there's a video series that's called Hancock Exposed. I highly suggest that you watch it. It's really a good extension. I mean, this is really an extension of Hancock Exposed. If you know the concept of what Hancock Exposed really was, and that like